Kai wiped his hands on a rag and looked around his small workshop. The room smelled of oil and metal, and strange sparks flew from machines that hummed and whirred. His workshop was in a busy part of the spaceport city. Ships of all shapes landed nearby, and aliens of every size and color walked past his window. Humans were rare here, and most aliens thought they were clumsy and weak. Kai had learned not to care. He knew humans could do things others could not. Today the bell above the door rang and Kai looked up. A small alien child walked in holding something carefully. The child's green skin glimmered under the lights, and their big eyes looked worried. In their tiny hands was a dragon toy. It was scratched, missing scales of painted metal, and wires hung out from its side. One claw was bent at a strange angle, and its small mechanical wings barely moved. "Can you fix it?" the child asked softly. Their voice trembled. Kai smiled. "Let me see it," he said, taking the toy carefully. He noticed tiny marks on its chest, like it had been loved too much. The toy was old, but he could tell it had once been special. He put it on his workbench. The tools around him glinted under the light. He studied the toy closely. The alien tech was complicated, more advanced than human machines, but not impossible. Kai had a special talent. He could look at broken things and imagine how they were meant to work. He did not follow instructions like most aliens. He used his hands, his mind, and a little bit of luck. The child watched nervously. It's very special," they whispered. "It belonged to my sister." Kai nodded. "Don't worry. I'll fix it." He worked slowly, carefully. He took tiny screws and replaced broken circuits. He adjusted the gears in the wings. He polished the scales until they shone. Every now and then, a small spark flew from his tools, but he was used to that. He hummed quietly to himself. He liked fixing things. It made him feel alive. Outside the window, shadows moved. Kai did not notice. He was too focused. But something was there watching. Something small and glowing. It did not move closer, but its eyes reflected the light from the workshop. The child did not see it either. They were too focused on the toy and on Kai. Hours passed. The toy still looked fragile, but Kai had a plan. He connected the final wires and pressed a small button. The dragon toy shivered, then flapped its tiny wings. "Moved." The child gasped. "Look," Kai said, smiling. "It's alive again." The toy crawled on the workbench, stretching its wings. It roared softly, a mechanical but proud sound. The child laughed and clapped. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Kai set the toy down. He felt proud. But even as he watched the child hug it, a pair of glowing eyes blinked outside the window. They were not eyes of a human or alien. They were small, intelligent, and alive. The watcher was silent, hiding in the shadows, studying the human. Kai did not see it. He did not know a real dragon was outside, watching every move he made. But the dragon's interest was growing. It was curious. No human had ever repaired its toy so carefully. Most humans were clumsy, rough, or afraid. But Kai was different. The child said, "Can it fly?" Kai laughed. "Not yet. But we made it strong again. Maybe soon." The child hugged the toy tightly. "My sister, she would be happy." Kai nodded, looking at the tiny dragon. "That's the best part." Outside, the dragon shifted slightly. Its small wings moved under its scales. Its glowing eyes never left Kai. It was silent, but its mind was busy. Who was this human? How could someone so small and fragile handle something that belonged to a dragon? Kai cleaned his tools and wiped his hands again. The sun outside was setting. The workshop glowed with warm light. The child's laughter filled the room. Everything felt peaceful. For Kai, this was just another day of fixing machines. But for the dragon outside, something had changed. This human was not like the others. And the dragon would remember him. Kai said goodbye to the child as they left, toy in hand. "Take good care of it," he said. "I will," the child promised. "And thank you again." The door closed and silence returned. The workshop smelled of metal, oil, and the faint scent of adventure. Kai sat back on his stool, satisfied. He did not know that outside, in the fading light, eyes glowed and studied him. A quiet judgment, not hostile but curious. Kai leaned back and smiled. "Another job well done," he said to himself. And the watcher in the shadows, a small but real dragon, nodded, if dragons could nod. The night began to fall over the city, and Kai's workshop seemed ordinary. But something extraordinary had happened. A human had repaired a dragon's toy, and someone very important had noticed. Kai worked late into the evening. The small dragon toy rested on his workbench, its metal scales now shining under the warm lights. He studied it carefully. Some parts were broken beyond repair. Tiny gears had fallen out, circuits burned. Most aliens would have given up. But Kai had a different way of thinking. Humans didn't always follow rules. They used imagination. And imagination, he knew, could solve problems that machines or instructions could not. He took a small set of tools and started to work. He tightened screws, rewired circuits, and adjusted the toy's wings. Each movement was careful, precise. He spoke quietly to himself. If this gear goes here, it should move. Yes, perfect. The toy made small clicking sounds as if it was testing itself. Kai smiled. Almost there, he whispered. You'll fly soon. Outside the window, the shadows shifted. The glowing eyes appeared again. The watcher had moved closer but stayed hidden. It was small, its body sleek and covered with scales that shimmered faintly. It was not the toy. It was alive. Real. A dragon. The dragon's head tilted, studying the human's hands, watching every adjustment, every movement. The child's words from earlier echoed in Kai's mind. It's very special. It belonged to my sister. Kai understood now why the toy mattered so much. It was more than metal and gears. It was love, memory, and trust. And he had to respect that. Kai paused and examined the wings. They were bent at odd angles. Most humans would have straightened them roughly, risking a break. But Kai used small pliers and patience. He aligned each wing carefully, testing the motion with gentle pushes. Slowly, the wings moved like they were alive. A small spark flew, hitting the workbench. Kai chuckled. Careful, little guy. We're almost done. The dragon outside shifted its tail slightly. It seemed to understand that the human was being careful. Most humans were rough, clumsy, or scared. Not Kai. He was calm, clever, and patient. The dragon's curiosity grew. Kai reached for a small soldering tool. He reconnected a tiny wire that had snapped. He worked quietly without hurry. The toy's circuits glowed faintly as he finished the connection. It twitched, then made a soft whirring noise. Kai smiled. There we go. That's better. Outside, the dragon leaned closer, its eyes reflecting the light of the workshop. It had never seen a human work like this before. Its instincts told it to stay back, but curiosity pushed it forward. The dragon's tail tapped the ground silently. Kai noticed a loose gear inside the toy. He picked it up and examined it. It was delicate, almost too small to touch. He used a tiny hammer to fit it perfectly. This is tricky, but we can do it, he muttered. The toy's claw moved slightly as he adjusted the gear. A small mechanical roar escaped it. Kai laughed quietly. Yes, that's it. You're coming back to life. The dragon outside tilted its head as if it understood the sound. Its glowing eyes shone brighter. It had never heard a human laugh like this while repairing something dangerous. The human was fearless, gentle, and precise. That combination fascinated the dragon. Kai finished adjusting the final wires and tested the toy again. It twitched, stretched, and flapped its wings. Slowly, it crawled across the workbench. It made small noises, testing its motors. Kai's eyes sparkled with pride. He had done it. The dragon outside shifted again. Its body shimmered faintly in the dark. It moved its head closer to the window. Wanted to see more. Humans were small and fragile, yet this one had skill, patience, and courage. These were qualities dragons rarely saw in any being. Kai put the toy down carefully and wiped his hands. The shop smelled of oil, metal, and solder. He looked out the window but saw nothing unusual. The dragon was hidden behind a crate, just observing. Kai didn't know it was there. He only knew he had fixed the toy. That was enough for him. The night grew darker, but Kai continued to clean his tools. Every now and then the toy twitched, testing its balance. Kai laughed softly. Almost ready for the real flight, little guy? The dragon outside leaned closer, its glowing eyes fixed on the human. It was silent, but its mind was working quickly. How could this small, fragile creature handle something that belonged to a dragon? Most humans would have broken it. This one did not. Kai finally sat back on his stool. The toy rested on the table, its wings slightly lifted, claws ready. He felt tired but happy. Another day, another job done. But he did not realize that this small act of repair had impressed someone very powerful and very rare. Outside, the dragon's tail flicked in approval. Its glowing eyes lingered on Kai. It had made a decision. This human was worth watching. Maybe even worth trusting. Kai did not know it yet. He only knew that the toy was fixed, the child would be happy, and he had done his best. But outside, in the quiet darkness, a dragon was learning something new about humans. They were clever. They were brave. And sometimes they could surprise even dragons. Kai woke early the next morning. Sunlight filtered through the windows of his small workshop, catching the edges of tools and machines. He stretched and yawned, then glanced at the dragon toy on his workbench. It had spent the night in quiet rest, its tiny wings folded neatly, claws slightly curled. Kai smiled. He liked seeing machines alive again, even if it was just a toy. The shop was quiet. The spaceport outside was already starting to buzz with ships landing, engines roaring, and aliens walking to their work. Kai loved the noise. It meant life, work, and opportunity. Today he planned to make the dragon toy even better. Its wings still moved, but he wanted them to flap more smoothly. Its tiny motor needed calibration, and a few loose screws had to be tightened. As he worked, a faint shadow moved across the wall. Kai didn't notice it. He was too focused on the delicate gears inside the toy. But the shadow grew larger. It had shape. It had presence. And then it stepped into the light, though carefully, not fully revealing itself. Kai looked up, wiping his hands on a rag. He saw nothing but the corner of the workshop. He shrugged and went back to work. The toy made a soft whirring sound as he adjusted the last wire. Suddenly the air felt heavy. A soft, low vibration ran through the floor. Kai paused, listening. It was not the engines outside, nor the machines in his shop. It was something else, alive, powerful, and watching. From the corner of his eye he saw movement. A shimmer. And then, slowly, a dragon stepped into view. Not a toy. Not a hologram. A real, living dragon. Its scales glistened in the sunlight, green and gold, like molten metal. Its eyes glowed faintly, intelligent and curious. It was small, maybe young, but Kai could feel its strength and presence. Kai froze. His heart beat faster. He had heard stories of dragons, majestic, powerful creatures, almost like legends. But he never expected to see one in person. And certainly not in his workshop. The dragon's gaze locked on him, studying every movement. Kai remembered the toy. He slowly held it up, showing it to the dragon. "I fixed it," he said softly. "It's working again." The dragon's head tilted slightly. A low rumble sounded from its throat, not a roar but a soft, curious noise. Kai understood then, the dragon was the toy's real owner. The tiny toy he had been repairing all this time had belonged to this living creature. Kai's hands shook slightly, but he did not panic. He had faced machines that could explode, robots that could crush him, and engines that spat fire. This dragon, though alive, was silent, watching. He realized he could not act scared. He had to stay calm. He set the toy down carefully on the workbench. The dragon stepped closer, its claws silent on the floor. Its eyes never left Kai. It circled the toy, sniffing, nudging with its nose. Then it looked back at Kai. Kai swallowed. You like it?" he asked quietly. The dragon's tail flicked slowly. It lowered its head and nudged the toy with more force. The tiny dragon toy flapped its wings, whirred, and made a small sound like a roar. The real dragon made a soft rumble in response, almost approving. Kai realized something important. The dragon wasn't here to harm him. It was testing him. It wanted to see if he could handle something precious. Most humans would have been clumsy, rough, or scared. But Kai, he had been careful, patient, and clever. The dragon recognized that. The child's voice from the day before echoed in Kai's mind. "It's very special." Now he understood fully. The toy was more than a machine. It was a piece of the dragon. And somehow, his hands, his human mind, had repaired a part of the dragon itself. The dragon shifted closer to the toy, then back to Kai. Its glowing eyes seemed to search his mind. Kai held still. He didn't move. He didn't reach for anything. He just stayed calm and allowed the dragon to judge him. Minutes passed. The dragon's head tilted again, then lowered closer to Kai's hands. It nudged him gently, not aggressively but as if saying, "You are trusted." Kai felt a surge of awe and respect. He had never been recognized by a creature like this before. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated in the galaxy. But here he was, a human who had earned the quiet approval of a real dragon. The dragon circled the workshop slowly, examining everything, its eyes flicking back to the toy. Then it paused and made a soft, almost musical trill. Kai smiled faintly. He didn't know what it meant exactly, but he knew it was good. Finally, the dragon stepped back toward the window. It looked at Kai once more, its glowing eyes locking with his. Then, almost silently, it disappeared into the morning light outside. The wind ruffled its scales, and in a blink, it was gone. Kai stood in the middle of his workshop, heart still racing. He looked at the dragon toy on the workbench. "Well," he said quietly, "I guess you liked it after all." He knew one thing for certain. Humans might be small, but they could be clever, brave, and patient. And sometimes even dragons noticed. The city outside carried on, oblivious. Ships roared, aliens talked and laughed, children played. But in this small workshop, a human had done something extraordinary. He had repaired a dragon toy and earned the trust of a real dragon. Kai wiped his hands, feeling proud but calm. The world was big, strange, and dangerous. But he had proven one truth: humans could do incredible things even when no one expected them to. And somewhere out there, a dragon would remember him. The next day, Kai returned to his workshop, still thinking about the dragon from yesterday. He could not forget the glowing eyes, the scales that shimmered, or the way it had nudged the toy in approval. Humans were not supposed to meet dragons, at least that's what the story said, but he had. And somehow he felt connected. He looked at the dragon toy again. Its wings twitched as if testing itself and its claws stretched. Kai smiled. "Almost ready for real flight, little buddy," he said. "Let's see if we can make you move better." He began work carefully, adjusting the tiny gears that made the wings flap. Each motion was slow and precise. He didn't rush. He knew the toy mattered more than anything, more than the tools, more than the workbench. He imagined the dragon watching him, judging, approving. Somehow, thinking of that gave him focus. Outside, the shadows moved again. Kai did not notice. The dragon had returned. It had circled the shop quietly, staying just out of sight. Its eyes, bright and intelligent, watched Kai's hands. Every movement was noted. The dragon was testing him again, learning if he was patient, careful, and trustworthy. Kai tightened the last screw and connected the final wire. The toy stirred immediately, wings flapping smoothly this time. It crawled forward and let out a small mechanical roar. Kai chuckled. "There you go. Beautiful." From outside, a soft shimmer of movement caught the toy's sensors. It twitched as if sensing the dragon nearby. Kai froze, hearing a low rumble through the floor. His heart raced, but he did not panic. He remembered yesterday, dragons could be dangerous, but this one seemed curious, observing, not attacking. The dragon slowly appeared in the doorway. Its wings were folded neatly along its back, scales glowing in green and gold, eyes fixed on Kai. It stepped closer, silent, graceful, every movement precise. Kai stayed calm, his hands resting on the workbench. He did not reach for tools or run. He only watched the dragon return his gaze. The toy began to move toward the dragon. Its small wings flapped faster, and it made soft mechanical noises. The dragon leaned down, sniffing, then nudged the toy with its snout. The toy responded, flapping wings and turning to face the dragon. It was almost like a greeting. Kai's chest swelled with awe. The dragon was interacting with the toy as if it were alive. And Kai realized something incredible: he had built a bridge between species. A small human hand had repaired a toy that mattered deeply to a dragon. That tiny act had created trust. The dragon seemed to understand the human's intentions were pure. Kai whispered softly, "You're safe here. I won't hurt you." The dragon's tail flicked slowly, almost like a nod. It circled Kai carefully, eyes studying him, then returned to the toy. It nudged the toy again and it responded. Slowly, the dragon lowered its head, bringing its glowing eyes level with Kai's. There was no threat in its gaze, only curiosity and approval. Kai realized something important. This was not just a dragon anymore, it was an ally, a silent friend, a creature that respected him. And it had done so not because of size or strength, but because he had been clever, patient, and careful. Humans were underestimated often, but moments like this showed their true value. He smiled quietly. "I didn't expect to meet you," he said. "But I'm glad I did." The dragon rumbled softly, moving closer to Kai. Its warm breath brushed his face, but he did not flinch. Instead, he reached out one hand slowly. The dragon sniffed it, then leaned its head closer. Kai's fingers brushed its smooth, warm scales. The dragon nudged his hand gently, like a human friend might. Kai laughed softly. "I guess we're friends now." The dragon let out a soft trill, and its eyes shone brighter. It circled the workshop once, then rested near the toy. Kai returned to the bench, carefully inspecting the gears again. The dragon watched him every step of the way, learning his methods, observing his skill. Hours passed. The toy moved and flapped, and the dragon played quietly with it, nudging it and listening to its soft mechanical roars. Kai adjusted and repaired as needed. Each movement, each adjustment brought more confidence to the toy, and more trust from the dragon. At sunset, the dragon finally stepped back. It looked at Kai once more, eyes glowing, tail flicking. Then, without warning, It pressed a small claw gently against the toy and walked toward the doorway. Its gaze met Kai's for one final moment. Then, with a flap of its wings and a quiet, graceful leap, it disappeared into the night sky. Kai stood still, watching the empty doorway. He felt a mixture of awe, pride, and wonder. Humans were small, fragile, often underestimated, but sometimes that didn't matter. Human skill, patience, and courage could reach across species, even to creatures as powerful as dragons. He picked up the toy, holding it close. "You're lucky to have met your real owner," he whispered. "And I'm lucky to have met you." The city outside continued its noisy life. Ships landed, aliens shouted, and humans walked past without noticing the magic that had just happened in a small workshop. But Kai knew it. He had built a bridge between species. He had proven that humans could earn trust, respect, and even friendship from the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And somewhere out there, a dragon would remember him, and the small human who repaired its toy. The next morning, Kai woke with the sunlight spilling into his small workshop. He yawned and stretched, thinking about yesterday. The dragon had returned, watched him work, and interacted with the toy. Then it had left as quietly as it had appeared. Kai smiled to himself. Humans were small and fragile, but sometimes even dragons noticed them. He went to the workbench and looked at the dragon toy. Its wings twitched slightly, its claws moved, and tiny gears clicked as it tested itself. The toy was alive, working better than ever. Kai had repaired it with patience, care, and imagination. It was just a toy, yet it carried the approval of a real dragon. A knock on the door startled him. Kai wiped his hands and opened it. Outside stood the alien child from before, holding a small bag of tools. "I wanted to see if you needed anything else," the child said, eyes bright with excitement. "I wanted to show you something." The child reached into the bag and pulled out a small holographic device. It projected a recording of the dragon playing with the toy the night before. Kai's eyes widened. That's incredible," he said. "It looks so happy." "Yes," the child said softly. "My sister would have loved to see this. She always believed in you, Kai. She said humans could do anything if they tried." Kai laughed. "I guess she was right." As the child left, word began to spread across the spaceport. Aliens who had heard of a human repairing a dragon toy came by to see for themselves. Some were curious, some skeptical, and some just wanted to witness the impossible. They crowded around the workshop, whispering. Kai stayed calm. He showed them how the toy worked, explained the repairs, and answered their questions. The aliens watched in awe. They had never seen a human handle such intricate, delicate work, especially something connected to dragons. Many of them shook their heads in disbelief. Humans were often underestimated, but Kai had proven that skill, patience, and ingenuity were not limited to any species. Later that day, a small message arrived from the city council. It was unusual, they rarely contacted human mechanics. But this message praised Kai's work and invited him to a special exhibition of extraordinary skills. His work had gained attention not because he sought it, but because it was exceptional. Kai packed up his tools, feeling proud but calm. He thought about the dragon. Somewhere out there it had watched, judged, and approved. That silent recognition was more meaningful than any award or praise. Humans were small, yes, but clever, patient, and courageous. And sometimes that was enough to earn respect from creatures far larger, stronger, and older than themselves. As evening approached, Kai stepped outside to watch the sunset. The city hummed with life. Ships landed with loud thuds, aliens hurried past, and humans moved through the streets. Everything looked ordinary, yet Kai knew it wasn't. He had experienced something extraordinary. A small human workshop had connected two species, one fragile toy and one mighty dragon. And that connection had made a difference. Suddenly, a shimmer appeared in the sky. Kai's heart leapt. A faint green and gold glow traced a figure moving gracefully through the clouds. It was the dragon. It circled above the workshop, letting Kai see it fully this time. Its eyes glowed as if recognizing him again. Kai waved. The dragon dipped its wings almost like a nod. Then, with a quiet leap, it disappeared into the distance. Kai smiled, feeling a warmth he could not explain. Humans were small in the galaxy, yes, but they could build trust, create bonds, and achieve things no one expected. A small human hand had repaired a dragon toy and in doing so, earned the respect of a legendary creature. That was something no one could take away. The next morning, Kai returned to his workshop, ready for new jobs. But he knew that whatever challenge came next, humans could handle it. They could be clever, brave, and persistent. And sometimes even dragons noticed. Word continued to spread. Aliens told stories of the human who repaired a dragon toy. Young humans in the city looked up to him. Children brought their broken machines, hoping to learn from the human who could fix anything. Kai worked quietly, never boastful but always patient, always clever. Sometimes, when the sun dipped low and the city grew quiet, a shimmer of green and gold appeared in the sky. The dragon returned to watch from afar, keeping an eye on the human it had silently approved. And Kai would smile, knowing that humans were small but capable of incredible things. In the galaxy, strength was measured in many ways. Some used size, some power, some fear. But Kai had shown another way. Skill, patience, and courage, small human hands could change the world. And sometimes, those small hands earned the respect of dragons. The toy on his workbench twitched, as if alive, as if carrying a little piece of the dragon's spirit. Kai looked at it and whispered, "Good job, little friend. You did well." Outside, the city continued its life. Ships roared, aliens laughed, humans worked. But in one small workshop, a human mechanic had done something extraordinary. He had repaired a dragon toy and in doing so, reminded everyone that humans could be clever, brave, and unforgettable. And somewhere high above, a dragon remembered him.